Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Spooky Season with the Lord of Toxicity. I am your host, Lord Toxic, and we'll be doing an episode of Consider the Source today, and we're going to talk about a few of the lesser known Stephen King projects, some of which have been adapted into either movies or TV shows, and some of which have yet to be adapted, but I just feel like they don't get the attention they deserve, so I wanted to discuss them. We're going to talk about three different projects from Stephen King, spanning the course of several decades, and how they relate to the spooky season that we're in right now. So I'm excited to talk to you about that, and I hope that if you like what you hear, you'll like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what Stephen King stuff you think should get some more attention that it hasn't already gotten. So without further ado, let's get into it. Consider the source, it's all the same. Truth or twisted adaptations gain. He holds scales, he holds the light. The Lord of Toxicity will rule the night. Yeah, so this is the spooky season, and we are talking about Stephen King, one of the most prolific writers in suspense and horror for the last several decades. Definitely one of the first people that I went to as a budding writer to see how the trade is done, and it's definitely one of the people that I enjoy the most. His most recent last decade or so, where he kind of has developed Trump derangement syndrome aside, he's still somebody that you could pretty much go anywhere in the world and bring up Stephen King, and you would be pretty much guaranteed that person would know who you were talking about. So I did want to talk about some of his lesser known projects, but obviously there's one that's getting the most attention right now, and that's the updated remake of Salem's Lot. And I'd like to discuss that with you today. So let's go ahead and get that one knocked out of the way.
About things that are so terrible. You'll run away so your brain won't remember.
So why did you come back?
I'm here for research.
What exactly, though, are you researching?
Another sleepless night, just like the ones that came.
So I've had an occasion to catch this recently, and I have to say I have not disliked it as much as pretty much everybody else has disliked it. I don't think it's all that bad. That's not exactly a glowing recommendation as far as recommendations go, but I will say that for the most part, they got quite a bit of it right. They got more right than they got wrong. I've never seen the original miniseries from the 70s, and I only caught bits and pieces of the 2004 remake that they did, which I believe came out on TNT or AMC, one of those two. I'm a huge fan of the book. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books. It's one of my favorite vampire books. I like a lot of what they did with this. I did do a trailer review when the trailer first dropped a couple months ago, and I'll leave a link to that in the description because it's not really going to change much of what I'm going to say here. But what I will say is this: give it a shot, give it a watch. If you're a big fan of the book, there's going to be lots of things that are going to bother you about this. There's going to be lots of issues with it. Let me get to the good stuff real quick. So the good stuff is it looks good. It's very well made. The effects are great. It gives off a very good 70s nostalgia that you're watching. The glowing crosses activated by the vampire's evil is cool, straight from the novel. I like that. The novel has Ben Mears, our main protagonist, coming back to his hometown, writing a story about who knows what, presumably the big haunted Marston house that sits on top of the hill that the main character antagonist Barlow has bought for himself. It's basically just an updated Dracula story. If you don't already know this, I don't know why you're watching this review. I like the fact that the vampires are creepy. They have mind control powers. They look like dangerous monsters. They're kind of a really good mix of the monsters from 30 Days of Night and a couple other genres that you may or may not have seen. So I like that. They look cool. They sound cool. They're pretty much scary monsters. I like the drive-in idea. That's a big updated version for this adaptation that was not in the novel. I like that that is the. Oops, hang on. Let me add this stage right here. Boom! Spoiler alert for this. Almost forgot. And boom. Take it easy on me, YouTube. I'm just doing whatever. So yeah, I like the fact that they have a cool hiding place. They're hiding inside the cars, and the drive-in was such a staple of pop culture back in the '70s. It's pretty dope. The special effects, as I said, are good. It's got great casting for the most part. I'm pretty happy. I like the scene where they go to Matt's house and the vamps are on top of the roof and they're trying to play it cool so they don't get chased down. That was not in the novel, and it is in the movie, and it's pretty cool. I like the character Mark. He's pretty awesome in the way that he takes down Straker's pretty cool, although it's a lot more details in the book. It's not bad. There's not a whole lot of dicking around with the whole trope of, I don't believe in vampires, you have to convince me. Maybe a little too easily, everybody starts jumping on bandwagon for vampires. Not really sure. I guess that will really depend on your taste. Some of the bad stuff is that, yes, it does kind of look like the 70s, but it doesn't really feel like the 70s. And what I mean by that is that I find it myself. Like a little bit too clean. They're not really listening to this. That's the problem. Help. They change a lot of the narrative of the story. The book will give you this whole thing about the town, which makes you care about the people, and you don't really care about them all that much, just due to the fact that they never get expounded upon. The characters that you feel like you know front to back from the novel, in this they're just paper thin characters. Now, if that was an ode to the fact that it's a short 2-hour movie, or if it's a fact that they assume that anybody watching it has already read the book, I really can't say. I don't know. They didn't ask me to be part of the HBO Max did not ask me to be part of the preparation progress for this project. More to the pity. Matt and Mark getting trapped instead of, that's a swapped out scene. They get trapped, and the teacher, Matt Burke, gets kidnapped by Barlow, gets turned into a vampire. That gets swapped out from Susan and Mark. I'm not really sure why they did that. Narratively, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense except to keep Susan in the story longer. But I don't know. I didn't really care for it. The race and gender swaps weren't needed. I mean, it doesn't completely take you out of the story. I'll also be talking about Shawshank Redemption in the next episode of this little trifecta for Stephen King's, lesser known universes. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The kid that plays Mark he's really great, so I don't have a problem with that. But Alfred worded as Dr. Cody is an unnecessary gender and race swap. The scariest and best scenes are all in the trailer. I probably could have not even had to tell you that, and then you're going to know that. All of the best, scary, spooky scenes, you're looking at it on the screen right now. So they're really all spoiled. Nothing's really going to jump out at you and scare you if you're looking for a frightening good time. This ain't really it. It's just kind of a background noise Halloween movie. It's not bad, though. And although I said in my things that I liked about it, that they don't dick around with the whole vampire, do I believe in vampires, yada, yada, yada. One of the problems that I definitely have with it is the fact that everybody just jumps on it way too soon. And it's one of those things that I wonder maybe they could have spared a little bit more time with some more exposition with that. I really don't know. I don't know what would have worked better, but this doesn't super work for me. 1 out of 5, I give it a solid 3.5. It's not bad. It's one of those things that'll come on cable. It's on Halloween, and you could put it on while you're folding your laundry. You don't really got to pay attention to it too much. It is interesting. Bill Pullman's son here as our main protagonist, Ben Mears, he's not bad. He's actually pretty good. I've heard a lot of people saying that he has kind of a nothing burger performance. I don't think that that's true. I think he does a pretty decent job. It's definitely something that you should watch. It's definitely not something that you need to to skip. There's certainly a lot of good things to be had in it. I definitely like the mind control thing that the vampires do and how some of the protagonists overcome it. They would have done a lot better to show a lot more of the town being taken down and taken over. That would have worked a lot better. But yeah, I don't know what they could have really done specifically better, except give us more of a mini series vibe as opposed to a movie vibe. But as far as the movie itself, it works. I don't have an issue with it. I think it works okay. So overall, 3.5 for me, not bad. They could have done better. I would probably put this somewhere along the lines of slightly better than the Dark Tower movie that they tried to create. Again, that's another thing, that the universe is just far too big and you need to give it some breathing room. And this thing doesn't really have any room to breathe as far as that goes. But again, I'd like to see more from Bill Pullman's kid. I'd like to see more from this young kid that plays Mark. I think they did a really fantastic job. Their acting is top notch from both of these guys. They have good chemistry together. And overall, decent movie. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's pretty good. And there's a couple other odds and ends that I could pick apart on it, and I've actually written them down. But you know what? I'm just going to leave that some stuff to the imagination. There's a lot to pick apart in it, if I'm being honest, but all of it is really petty stuff. Overall, 3.5 on the way to a 4 out of 5. So not too bad. And again, it looks great. And I really like the use of Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown that they use a lot in it. So, and that's it. That's what I got to say about that. So I'll see you tomorrow when we'll talk about another one of Stephen King's lesser known projects, Shawshank Redemption. So until next time.